We are officially 1 week into June, and I want to share my slightly ambitious reading plans with you. I hope you are having a wonderful start to June, and I hope that you're excited to see what books that I'm planning on reading this month. The ones that I'm currently in the middle of are already amazing, and I have been reading so many incredible 5-star, brilliant books this year, and I have a feeling June is going to continue to be full of brilliant, amazing 5-star reads that I can't wait to share with you. So, without further delay, I'm going to tell you about the books that I'm currently reading. I have been reading this first book for the past 2 months. This is the 3rd month of me reading it, and I am almost done with it, and I am dreading finishing it. It is a new all-time favorite book. I think this is going to be at least in my top 5. Part of me wants to even say top 3, but like top 5. I have so many favorite books, it's so hard to choose. But anyway, that is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I want to underline and annotate every single sentence, every single word in this book. I haven't heavily annotated a book like this since I read War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, and that's of course one of my favorite books of all time. I am loving Steinbeck's writing. He is becoming one of my all-time favorite writers. I have read quite a few stories from him now, but this is my first larger novel from him, and this is kind of his magnum opus, and what he does in this novel is absolutely genius. Every time I read a chapter, I want to cry because, oh my god, I am so invested in this story, and the characters are so complex and multifaceted, and the character arcs are incredibly satisfying to read, and the descriptions are so vivid, and I just feel like I have been completely captivated and captured, and I am just in the pages of this book. I love the feeling of when you read a book and it's like you're leaving yourself on every page. It's making me think so deeply, it's making me ask a lot of questions, and I can almost feel myself as a reader changing, as a person changing after experiencing this story, and I think that that's one of the most magical experiences you can have as a reader, and I can't express how much I'm loving this book. I have about 140 pages left, and this book, I also want to say how readable it is. I feel like you could very easily fly through it, and part of me has been trying to take it slow because I don't want to fly through it, but it's so readable. I literally highlighted this entire page. I put a sticky note, I wrote in the margins, I have a sticky tab. I have just been going crazy. I even dog-eared the page because this one was, oh my gosh, one of my favorite passages in the whole book. But should I share something with you? I feel like I should. I don't want to spoil anything. Ooh, okay, I love this one. This is on page 373, but it doesn't spoil anything. It says, "Do you think the thoughts of people suddenly become important at a given age? Do you have sharper feelings or clearer thoughts now than when you were 10? Do you see as well, hear as well, taste as vitally?" I love this question because they're talking about how we are fully formed even at the age of 10. Obviously we change in so many other ways, but we're the same person that we are now that we were when we were a child, although of course we are very different, but like our inner workings, our souls, our feelings are the same. Do you think the thoughts of people suddenly become important at a given age, meaning that your thoughts at a young age are equally as important, even if they are grounded in childhood or grounded in more innocence? And I love that question. I wish I could read this whole book out to you, but you will just have to read it yourself and experience how brilliant it is. And I can't wait to read it. I kind of want to finish it earlier in June because I have so many other books that I want to read, but I also want to I've been really enjoying giving my whole attention to East of Eden, and I don't want to read too many other books along with reading this one because I just want to have my full focus on it, but I have been loving it. I don't want to finish it. I can't wait to reread it at some point, and I just cannot recommend it more highly enough. We are reading this for the Game of Tomes book club, which I host with my best friend Emma on Fable, and I have loved chatting with you guys and hearing all of your thoughts and opinions about this book, and it's so great because I feel like a lot of people have similar opinions to me or making me think about things even in ways that I didn't even realize, and making connections that I didn't see. So it's really, I've been loving reading with everyone because it's making my reading experience even more deep and special, and I've just been loving it. So if you want to join on Fable, the Game of Tomes book club, there will be a link in the description. You can join for free, and you can join us whenever. The next book I started last night, and this is my all-time favorite poet or poetess, and I truly love her, and that is Mary Oliver. I have started reading 1,000 Mornings. Last month I read Blue Horses, which I reviewed for you guys, and I shared 3 of my favorite poems in my May wrap-up. For some reason, I had never looked into watching any of her interviews or poetry readings online because I just never realized that she was around the time where she could have video interviews, and I don't know why I never looked into watching videos of her, because one of my favorite things to do is to watch videos about the writers that I admire. And anyway, I found 2 incredible videos. One is a poetry reading that she did, and quite a few poems that she read were from 1,000 Mornings, which at that point was her newest collection. I started listening to the first 20 minutes of the podcast On Being with Krista Tippett, and Krista interviewed Mary Oliver. I've been learning so much more about her just from those 2 videos, and I'll link them in the description, because something that I didn't realize but it makes so much sense is how funny Mary Oliver is. Even when she was reading her poems, she was making everybody laugh. Anyway, I started 1,000 Mornings last night after listening to her read some of them in that poetry reading video, and I adore Mary Oliver. While I was watching that video, I genuinely felt like tears were welling up in my eyes thinking that she's no longer with us, because she was such an absolute treasure, and I really feel like her soul just feels so similar to mine, and I know that that's quite corny, but I just feel so connected to her for some reason, and I feel like she's a friend of mine that I lost without really getting to know, and I'm so glad that I can now get to know her. And my goal from now on is I just want to read everything that she's ever written. So anyway, I want to share my favorite poem, or maybe 2 poems from this collection. The first one is the first poem in this collection, and she read this in that poetry reading video, and she was saying that this is her misery poem, and the way that she read it was just so funny. I feel like seeing her humor really made me, I don't know, look at her in a different way and make me love her and appreciate her in a different way. But this one is called I Go Down to the Shore. I go down to the shore in the morning, and depending on the hour, the waves are rolling in or moving out, and I say, oh, I am miserable. What should I do? And the sea says, in its lovely voice, excuse me, I have work to do. Meaning that, like, the sea is not concerned with her misery and her worries. It's just busy being the sea and going in and moving out and ebbing and flowing. And I love that, because we can get so caught up in our feelings and our thoughts and our worries and our miseries, but we get reminded by the earth that there's so much more to life than that, and it gives you a bit more of a perspective, which I've always felt about the night sky. I always feel so comforted when I look up at the night sky and I see all the stars and I realize how small I am, and that can be a little anxiety inducing to some people, but to me I find it really comforting, because it kind of puts it into perspective that my worries are so small because I'm so small, and it's just, yeah, comforting. This is another one that I absolutely adore, and it is called The Gardener. Have I lived enough? Have I loved enough? Have I considered right action enough? Have I come to any conclusion? Have I experienced happiness with sufficient gratitude? Have I endured loneliness with grace? I say this, or perhaps I'm just thinking it. Actually, I probably think too much. Then I step out into the garden, where the gardener, who is said to be a simple man, is tending his children, the roses. I love that, and I wrote on a little sticky note, The poet's child are those questions. They are thoughts and feeling. And I think so what she's saying, at least this is my interpretation of the poem, that the gardener, who is a simple man, is tending his children, the roses. And so the gardener's children are the roses, just as the poet's children are their thoughts and their feelings and those questions that she's asking at the beginning of the poem. And I just really, really love that. Oh, this is another one that she shared in the poetry reading. She was explaining that she broke her arm at one point in her life and she couldn't type. And so she wrote a lot of short poems, and this is one of them. It's called After I Fall Down the Stairs at the Golden Temple. For a while I could not remember some word I was in need of, and I was bereaved and said, "Where are you, beloved friend?" Again, it's like words are her children, words are her friends, and I just love that. I love her so much. I can't wait to keep reading this collection in June, and I can't wait to keep reading her poems throughout my whole life. I feel like no matter how old I am, she will be a constant friend and a constant comfort. And if you have read Mary Oliver, I would love to know what your favorite poem is or what your favorite collection of hers is. I don't know if I have a favorite. I have so many favorites, it's so hard to choose. The next book that I want to read in June is the book club pick for June for my book club, the Well Read Book Club, which again you can join for free on Fable. And every month we read from a different genre to become more well-read readers. And the book that you guys chose is Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pierce. How stunning is this edition? I think it's so incredibly beautiful. It is from Oxford Press, and it is the 65th anniversary edition. It has a foreword by Frank Cottrell Boyce, and it is the winner of the Carnegie Medal. So I have heard amazing things about this book, especially recently. I've seen people recommending it to read in the springtime, and so I thought it would be a perfect choice to read as our middle grade for June. I love reading seasonally, so this one sounds fantastic. It also has stunning illustrations. Absolutely beautiful. The back says, when Tom is sent to stay at his aunt and uncle's house for the summer, he resigns himself to weeks of boredom. But as he lies awake in his bed, he listens to the grandfather clock chiming in the hall downstairs. 11, 12, 13. 13. Tom races down the stairs and finds outside the back door a wonderful garden. A garden everyone told him didn't exist. Tom's Midnight Garden is full of magic and adventure and children too. Are they ghosts, or is it Tom who is really the ghost? This entrancing and magical story is one of the best-loved children's books ever written. And there's even a quote on the back from Philip Pullman that says, a perfect book. Yes, so this is from Oxford University Press, and I have a feeling I'm going to love this book. I love middle grade stories. I think they are ageless and timeless and beautiful and so deep and thoughtful, and I can't wait to read middle grade with all of you. And also this book just seems so perfect because I love gardens. It has more of a classic feel to it because I forgot when this was. It's the 65th anniversary edition, but I forgot what year this was published. It was first published in 1958, so I have a feeling that it has a bit of a classic feel. That's at least what I'm getting from the book itself. But anyway, can't wait to start this with you guys. And if you have started already, I would love to know, or if you've already read it, I would love to know what you think of it. So, without spoilers, of course, please. The next books are ones that I also want to read in June well, this one I did start. I read the first 2 chapters, and some of you asked me in my May wrap-up if I had finished it, and I haven't. I haven't even read another chapter of it, and I'm kind of ashamed. But I want to read this book before it truly becomes summer, even though it's already getting quite warm here in New York. But anyway, that is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. I started reading this at the very end of April, and I haven't continued, and I really want to read it before true summer begins. This is about a group of English women that are tired of the dreary weather in England in February, I believe, and they spend the month of April in this medieval castle in Italy. And I love the quote on the back of this edition, and it says, "All the radiance of April in Italy lay gathered together at her feet." And from so many of your comments, I have seen so many of you say that you love this book and that you read it because I mentioned it and that you really enjoyed it. So I'm so glad, and I can't wait to read it as well, and then we can chat about it more thoroughly. But I have a feeling I'm going to love this. I read the first 2 chapters, like I said, and I really enjoyed them, so I'm looking forward to continuing to read the whole book. I just have been really trying to focus on East of Eden, and I want to, like I said before, like give my whole attention to East of Eden because I feel like that's what it deserves, and I think this book also deserves my full attention. So I do like reading multiple books at the same time, but sometimes I feel like it just doesn't work for certain books, so I kind of just go based off of my own feeling. But anyway, another book that I want to read in spring because I mentioned it in my 2025 TBR, and one of you said that I should read it in spring, and I have not forgotten that recommendation. So that is Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. I don't want to know too much about this book. I've heard that it's very heartbreaking and it's very short, and that's all I really want to know. I don't know how it relates to spring, but I am looking forward to finding out. And I have heard amazing things about this book, but the main thing is that it's devastating. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it will devastate me. The next 2 books, I don't mind if I don't get to them in June, but I would love to get to them in June. The first one is Virginia Woolf's The Waves, and I also feel like this book is going to devastate me, but in the best way possible. I love Virginia Woolf. She's one of my favorite writers, and I've been consuming a lot of Virginia Woolf content on the internet because of all the anniversary videos coming out about her work, and I really want to read a new Virginia Woolf, and I have yet to read The Waves, and this sounds absolutely perfect for this time of year, which you guys know I love reading seasonally. This one says, The Waves is an astonishingly beautiful and poetic novel. It begins with 6 children playing in a garden by the sea, and follows their lives as they grow up and experience friendship, love, and grief. I don't want to read too much else. I think I'm going to love this book. And then I also would love to try and read Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This is another book that's on my 2025 TBR. It's a book I've been meaning to read for years, and I just keep putting it off. It's a retelling of one of the characters from Jane Eyre that doesn't really get a voice in Jane Eyre, but Jean Rhys gives that character more of a backstory, and it's a wonderful retelling, I think. Even though I haven't read it yet, it's a wonderful idea to give that character more of a voice and more of a story, because I remember reading Jane Eyre for the first time and being fascinated by this character, and I wanted to learn more about her, and I'm so glad that I can with this book. So I'm really excited to read this one. I am also in the middle of an audiobook right now that I'm hoping to finish in June, and then also read a few other audiobooks as well. I love listening to audiobooks, and I listen to them through the Libby app, which is through my library. And the book that I am currently listening to I'm loving, and it is These Precious Days by Anne Patchett. Earlier this year, I watched an interview or book discussion video, I guess we would call it an interview, a talk, between Anne Patchett and Kate DiCamillo. I love Kate DiCamillo. She is my favorite middle grade writer, and the author I've read the most books from, which if you missed that video, I spoke about how many books I read from each of my most read authors, and she is my most read author. And Anne Patchett and Kate DiCamillo are friends in real life, and These Precious Days by Anne Patchett is an essay collection, and I am loving it so much. One of the essays in the book is about her discovering Kate DiCamillo's writing. She says in this essay that because Kate DiCamillo wrote for a middle grade audience, Anne Patchett never really thought to herself that she could read books for children because she's an adult. And that's one of the things that I talk about so much on my channel, and the things that I try to share and spread a love of middle grade literature, and to remind everyone that just because you're older now and you're not a middle grade reader, you're not your younger self, you'll always be your younger self inside of you. And it brought me so much joy seeing Anne Patchett realize that, and to discover the beautiful works of Kate DiCamillo. Those books are some of the most touching, deeply beautiful, moving, life-changing books I've ever read, and just because they're for children, it means that they can be read by children because they're universal stories. And anyway, I am loving These Precious Days. Ann Patchett also writes about a lot of different aspects of her childhood and different people that she's met and her different experiences and her thoughts on motherhood, her thoughts on writing. And I'm getting so much out of this this audiobook, especially because Ann Patchett narrates it herself. And you guys know how much I love nonfiction audiobooks narrated by the author, because it really just feels like you're having a conversation with that person or just hearing them tell you a story or about their lives, about their experiences. But anyway, I'm loving that audiobook so much, and I think I have about 2 hours left of it, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it. I also read Tom Lake by Ann Patchett earlier this year, but this is my first nonfiction work of hers. I've also read The Dutch House. I'm just really enjoying her writing, and I love her style of storytelling, and I love her voice. So I'm hoping to read more of her work as the years go by. But anyway, those are the books that I am currently reading and hoping to read in June. I hope you maybe got some recommendations out of this video, some books that maybe pique your interest and you want to add to your TBR. I would love to know what books are on your TBR for June. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are having a wonderful start to June. I have loved the fact that we are getting more warmer days. Today's quite rainy and cloudy, but the past few days have been really warm and sunny, and I've just been soaking up the sun every day. But anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful spring and a wonderful start to summer soon, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments and seeing you very soon in another video. And as always, happy reading.